Well, hello, and once again, this is PHE 289, Soccer Officiating. We're going to be dealing with, during this integrity session, rules 13 through 17. Approximately 6 pages of the book, 7 pages of the book, the outside. That includes, as you can see by the title slide here, free kicks, penalty kicks, throw-ins, goal kicks, and corner kicks. Basically, these 5 rules address how the ball is put back into play. The first of these rules, Rule 13, differentiates between a free kick, a direct free kick, and an indirect free kick, and explains further the 10-yard distance rule, and that's got to be respected during all free kicks. Okay. The next rule explains the penalty kick. Okay. There are a lot of nuances to that rule, so you need to pay close attention to all that information that's contained in the rule book. The next 3, 15, 16, and 17 deal with how we're going to put the ball into play depending upon how it was put out of play or into touch or over the goal line. Okay, so they're not nearly as complex as the offside rule nor the fouls of misconduct 11 and 12, but they have to be mastered to have a clear idea of how this game is played. So let's go ahead and begin. Let's start with Rule 13. This rule is pretty simplistic. I'm going to kind of look down at the book myself as I go through this stuff. There's not much to it, to be perfectly honest with you, but there are some things that you do need to know about the 2 kicks, free kicks. And we're going to go ahead and refer back to a couple of things as well. Remember, too, and I introduced this during the last rule, Rule 12. I mentioned it in Rule 11, but bottom line is, you're going to have some supplemental information through Integrity Classroom Works that I've got for this class about examples or pieces to or how to and so forth. You probably need to get into that as much as you can. But once again, I keep emphasizing that your test is going to be over this book. So don't minimize the importance of the book. Anyway, let's talk about a couple of things in the rule book that we've got. I'm sorry, with Rule 13, the free kick. We differentiate between the 2 of them. A direct free kick, and that's very easily identified here. Free kick, direct, from which a goal may be scored. Okay, the very first item under Section 1, Article 1, free kicks classified as a direct free kick from which a goal can be scored, and then the indirect free kick that requires a ball to be touched or played by another player of either team before it can be before a goal can be scored. So in the 1, you can go straight in the goal and you got a goal. In the second, it's got to be touched by another player. Could be a teammate, could be somebody else, but it cannot be touched by the person who put the ball in play initially. There's a couple of pieces here that you need to be aware of as you get into it. Take a look at the screen. For example, about free kicks, they can be taken in any direction. 2 exceptions: the penalty kick and the kickoff. Okay. In which both cases they have to be forward or go laterally. Must be taken from the spot of the foul, and of course, except for certain temporary suspensions of play and misconduct committed by bench personnel while the ball was in play, we're going to take it from where the ball was stopped. In other words, the game was stopped by the referee. Okay, fouls committed in the goal area by either team. Okay, so we have some things to consider where we place the ball if we have a foul committed in the goal area. Okay. Let's take a look at the next one. Here we go. This is where the rule book covers the specific penalties for the various penal and technical fouls that we've covered in the previous rule, Rule 12. And there are a couple of other items here that need to be clarified from Rule 12, but they find themselves in this rule, and that's why these asterisks are here. And you can take a look at this. This is very simple, and you can see these things. Of course, we've talked about this in Rule 12. When awarded, and remember the items that we've talked about there, the jumping, the tripping, the kicking, the charging with the legs, you award a direct free kick. In other words, when an opponent jumps at another opponent, okay, in regular course of play, on the field, while the ball is in play, we have a direct free kick. If that opponent trips an opponent, in fact, what we have is a direct free kick awarded to the team against which the foul was committed from the spot of the foul. Let's say we kick somebody, same thing. Charge, same thing. Take a look at the next column there. Direct free kick, holding, pushing, handling, striking, the hand stuff, okay? Once the referee detects that, we'll place the ball down, poof, off we go, okay? When awarded, direct free kick, another one spitting, and we consider that one, of course, with the body. There are 9 of those things. More for you to understand. Charging a player in a reckless, dangerous manner using excessive force. You know, we've got the direct free kick foul, charging an opponent while that opponent is active playing the ball and has both feet off the ground. Once again, you know, we're going to go ahead and award a free kick, and then charging the goalkeeper. Remember, I told you about how sacred those people are to me, okay? And where are all those free kicks taken from? Well, in this particular case, it's the spot of the foul. Now, what gets a little bit squirrely here is if you have a direct free kick foul in the goal area, okay? But we'll be talking a little bit more about that in just a moment, okay? Here's some more. When awarded, remember this is that double touch thing I was telling you about earlier, okay? And what we can do with that, okay? What we can do with that, let me see if I can, let's just go ahead and do it this way. What we can do with that is make sure that you understand the implications here, and of course what we're talking about is, is that the kicker is the person that we're dealing with here. If, in fact, the kicker who's put the ball into play touches it again, following, okay, a free kick, a penalty kick, a goal kick, corner, or the kickoff, or the thrower following a throw-in, okay, touches the ball again, we have a double touch situation, and we will award an indirect free kick. Pretty simple, okay? Here's another one. We have the indirect free kick is awarded for the offside. Okay, the obstruction, we've talked about both of that. Kicks or attempts to kick the ball while it's in possession of the goalkeeper. Dangerous play or game stopped for misconduct for no other reason. The restart takes precedence. In other words, let's say, for example, the ball had gone out of play and you know, in that infinite second between the time the ball went out of play and you had a foul, then in fact, if we had a throw-in, okay, if we had a throw-in, okay, we would take the throw-in, okay. If we had a corner kick, okay, or a goal kick, okay, goal kick, corner kick, then in fact we would do those things. But if it is stopped for no other reason, no other restart has taken precedence, certainly what we're going to do is use this little guy right here, the IFK. Extremely important, okay? Okay. Once again, I cannot stress enough to you, and I've mentioned this time and time again to all of my other classes, including my national referees at the collegiate level, that you must stay in constant contact with the ball in terms of where it is. You've got to have a field presence, a game presence. You have to know where was the ball, what was the clock, was it running, was it not, you know, what was the situation, who had possession of the ball, which team, you know, what actually happened. All those kinds of things have to be firmly implanted in your brain the minute you blow that whistle so that you know what's going on. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, goalkeepers and indirect free kicks. You'll remember this one. This is not new news to you because we've taken a little bit, we've talked a whole bunch about that. There's that 6 seconds thing. I'm not asking you to, you know, 1/1000, 2. I'm not asking you to do that, but you do need to be aware of the 6 seconds that the keeper's taking to put the ball back into play. Takes the ball into his or her hands before it's played by another person. Okay, you know, after of course the keeper puts it into play, touches the ball after it's been deliberately kicked or thrown, okay, to him by a teammate. Can it happen? Absolutely, yes. Where are these kicks taken from? Well, here you go. It's the spot of the foul. And why is that incredibly important? Well, an awful lot about that is very simple, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Matter of fact, it may be a subsequent rule altogether. Okay, not a rule, but actually another video, because I need for you to remember the very important piece to this thing when you get right down to it. And I'll go ahead and put it down here. Let's see if I can. Is there any way I can do this? Yeah, that'll work out. Remember the pieces to this thing as we get into additional free kick procedures. Well, actually, wait for just a minute. Let's go ahead and jump into a couple of other things before we get into that, okay? Hang on. A couple more instances to the IDK. Question's a good one. Some more of the IDK situations. A player, a coach, or both personnel enters the field without the coach's permission. Actually, that should be referee's permission. Need to change that. That's referee. If one team's not in clear possession and an injury occurs, okay, that in high school is an indirect free kick, and actually it's team possession is really supposed to be, this should be more of the drop ball. Remember, we've talked a little bit about drop balls, okay? I'll clarify that for you in a little bit. And if the game is stopped for misconduct by a person or a team or coaching area, where are these free kicks taken from? Remember this? Spot where the ball was when in fact you stopped the game. Spot where the ball was when you stopped the game. Okay, so we need to make sure that that happens. And like I said, I'll get a clarification for you on. I'll get a clarification for you on this next. Before we go much further. Okay. And this is what I was getting at just a moment ago. A few more points to mention about the 10 about the free kick. The big one is right here. Okay, that person needs to be 10 yards away until the ball is kicked. In other words, the referee blows the whistle. The side against which the foul has been recognized and the team for which we are awarding the direct free kick, immediately we need to begin setting these things up. You need to be 10 yards away. Remember the other 10-yard issues that we've got? And I'm going to take you back to, okay, Rule 1. Do you remember the corner arc? Okay. And do you remember the optional mark off of the goal line? You remember how many yards it was? Optional line, that was 11 yards. Why is it 11 yards? Remember, your corner arc came into the field a full yard. So this optional line on the goal line is measured from where that corner arc intersects the goal line 10 yards. Do you remember in Rule 1 also where in fact we have the center circle? Okay, the center circle, remember that little guy? That little guy has a radius of 10 yards. Once again, keeping the players away from the ball 10 yards. Okay? Do you also remember in Rule 1 another 10-yard issue? Do you remember I'll just do it this way, the D at the top of the 18? Okay? You remember that? That little guy is 10 yards away from the, remember this? From the penalty spot. Okay. When in fact you recognize this, you now understand why the 10 yards is so essential for all aspects of free kicks. There's a couple of other pieces, though, that you need to make sure you understand. Let's take a look at some of these guys. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of this. Okay. Well, maybe I won't. There we go. The ball must be stationary. Yeah, you got to be doing that. The ball's not in play until it is moved through a kick. Okay. It can be tapped and moved, but that would be sufficient. But really, this is what we're looking for. Kick may be taken in any direction except, what are the two exceptions? You remember what they were? You remember what those guys were? Let's go ahead and review them. 1, the kickoff, and 2, the penalty kick. Those two. Those are your exceptions. Item number 4 here, or 5, I'm sorry. A free kick is awarded to the defending team inside its own penalty area. The opponents must be outside that penalty area and 10 yards away from the ball. The ball is not in play until it leaves the penalty area. Okay? So keep that one in mind. There's an awful lot that can go on if, in fact, somebody decides to move things along, go at a little quicker pace, and that'll create some problems if they kick the ball and hit somebody while they're in the penalty area. Okay. Penalty kicks, and I don't want to do that right this second. Hang on with me, okay? There's something else that I need to make sure that you are aware of as it relates to the kicks that we've got here that we're talking about. I'm going to use this free space to really get after it. I think one of the things that many referees understand is after they've mastered some of this, and we're going to show you a couple of videos here in just a few minutes, I'll do that, and then I'm going to have other videos for you to consider, or at least locations for you to consider as you look at this. But I think one of the things that you as a fledgling referee, if you would, boy, I wish I could write with this thing, need to be familiar with, and that is the quick kick. If in fact you have a direct free kick foul, let me come back a couple of slides here so that you know exactly what I'm getting at. Where in fact, oops, went too far. Where in fact an opponent jumped at or held or any of these, okay? Let's do any of them for that matter. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? This one we're going to have another issue with, by the way. We're going to go ahead and eject somebody for that. But anyway, let's say, for example, so I really don't need to include that one, but any of these. Let's say, for example, that has happened about midfield. The ball is put down. Remember the components. We've talked about those, right? Oops, right there. Okay, the ball's put down. It has to be stationary. And it is up to the people who were responsible for the foul to retire 10 full yards away from that spot before the kick is taken. It is up to them to do that, okay? It could be considered a delay in the game if, in fact, we allow them to just dawdle around in front of the kick. What they're doing is they are delaying so they can get the defense set up. It's a tactical issue. Bottom line here is, as a referee, you need to move that right along. Either set the wall, you'll see some videos about that, or just get them out of there. And if they tarry too long, it is up to you to provide a yellow card to the person that's doing that. Is a yellow card a smart thing in occasions to get? Yes, it is. Let's say, for example, we had a fast attack, which involved, say, for example, two players, a defender and an attacker, and the attacker was about ready to go around the defender. And what the defender does is sticks a leg out just as the attacker's about ready to go around and go towards the goal where, in fact, he might or she might be able to take a shot and score. So what does that the defender do? He may throw a leg out there and trip the person. A tactical foul. What do we do? Well, in fact, what we could do, or what we should do, is we should go up, blow the foul, give direction, okay? You'll see more about signals later. Give direction on which way the ball is to be put in play, theoretically, which team is going to receive the actions of the called foul, okay? Then that team puts the ball down. Once again, as you can see, it is supposed to be stationary, and they know that the opponents are supposed to be 10 yards away, and then they'll put it in play. Now, if you're only two defenders back there, one of them's a keeper, and you have just created this foul, wouldn't it be a wise idea just to stand in front of that until the rest of the defense gets back to help you defend against a potential attack on goal? Yeah, possibly. So what they could do is a tactical yellow card is what I call it, and they could accept that yellow card. And what that does is it stops everything and allows the defense to set up, and here we go. Is that a wise thing to do? Yeah, in some cases it is. Just a couple of points. You just need to be extremely aware of that. But let's talk a little bit more about, boy, that is just so poorly written, but I don't know how to do it any better, to be honest with you. I'm just not very good with this thing, but you get the idea. I'm going to try to do it a little better here. I wonder if I can do that with, let's see if it gives me, no, it looks like this is what we're going to do it with, okay, is the quick kick. Let me see if I can write it again. Q-U-I-C-K, the quick kick, okay? Can a person who has just been fouled by the defense going as they were attacking that goal, Can they put the ball down and put it into play before the defense has retired the appropriate 10 yards? Yes, they can. But the minute that they do that, they lose all of the privileges associated with the 10-yard distance and the things that go along with that. So could they gain an advantage, though, by putting the ball in play a lot faster than, say, for example, allowing everybody to set up? Because what they're doing is they're taking advantage of the situation that they've got themselves in to begin with. In my earlier scenario where we've just got a couple of people involved, hey, let's not let the whole team get down there to help this defender and goalkeeper defend the goal. Let's go ahead and take the quick kick and see what we can do with that. These high school students are incredibly talented and know how to bend a ball for quick kicks and all sorts of things. So if they want to take a quick kick, certainly you're going to let them do that. Here's my recommendation. The minute you blow the foul, if you're close to it, allow them to put the ball down. Just make sure that as people are retiring, that you've got your eye on that ball, that you know what's going on, but get out of the way. You never know what's going to happen, and you do not want to be involved in that, in that as a person who's gotten in the way kind of a situation. I think that's going to be a problem, okay, if in fact you do. Team's going to come unglued, the player's going to come unglued. Hey, no point in singling yourself out for that kind of drama or problem. You go ahead and deal with it by getting out of the way. Call a foul, get out of the way. Unless it becomes ceremonial, you'll have to put up a wall. You have to assist with the wall, moving the wall back to you. Yeah, you've seen all the videos. And if you haven't, I've got a couple for you coming up. Okay, notice what's next, guys. And we get into this in a very big way. This is the penalty kick. We've got, like every other sport, one of these kinds of rules. You know, the ones that have exceptions to the exceptions. Okay, well, this is another one of those. They're pretty simple, but nevertheless, you just need to know what they all are. This is one of those rules. Well, at face value, the penalty kick is pretty simple to understand. There are a number of things that can go wrong during this particular type of free kick. Lucky for the officials, the overwhelming majority of these kicks are successful. Just a note of caution, though, referees, you must pay full attention to this rule for a number of reasons you'll see once you get into the rule itself. Just read this puppy through. It's only a page and a little bit. Now, it's 2 pages, I think, come to remember. But anyway, you've got to take a lot of things into consideration. For example, remember the D that we talked about in Rule 1? Well, this is where it comes into play. Okay, and the goalkeeper must be on his or her line. Does that mean that she can stay in one place in the goal line? No, absolutely not. They can move around. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of this stuff. Hey, a penalty kick is awarded when a direct free kick foul. Remember these guys? When one of these things that I've got here happens inside of the 18, okay? When a direct free kick foul is awarded to the attacking team and the defending team's 18 of the penalty area. That's when we have a penalty kick. How do we take it? We position all the players outside the penalty area, behind the penalty mark, and around the arc of the D. Okay, goalkeeper must be on the goal line and cannot come off of it. All players must remain outside that penalty area or the D until the ball is put into play. The ball must be played forward. Simple enough? Yeah, kind of, sort of. I think there's one other piece to this thing that you need to know, and you may see in some of the videos, that when you're lining all of these things up, I need for you to draw a mental picture in your mind at this point. In fact, refer back to Rule 1, where in fact we have the spot, the penalty spot, okay, 12 yards from the goal line, okay, that's where the ball is placed. But none of the players are supposed to be forward of that as they surround the penalty area. So as indicated, they're supposed to be kind of in line and behind with that spot of the foul. Here's why we do that. If you think about it, there's potential for an attacker to be in an offside position during a penalty kick, isn't there? Think that one through, because it could theoretically happen. Okay, so there you go. There's not much to this. Okay, in your rule book, you'll see all of those exceptions. Do you need to know these? Yes, you do. As a matter of fact, I can think of at least 2 questions on the test that pertain to this chart that you're going to find, and I believe that's on let's see if I remember. Yeah, there it is, page 62. Okay, you need to know these things, and you need to know what to do if, in fact, you see these things happen. Here's another one. Additional points to remember: the ball must be stationary on the penalty mark before it can be kicked. The original kicker cannot kick the ball after it's been kicked until another player has touched the ball. And if time has expired during the penalty kick, you're going to extend time to make sure that that penalty kick gets taken. Only the kicker may play the ball once, okay, and it's in play until its momentum is stopped. So in other words, let's say, for example, the goalkeeper was successful in stopping the shot from the kicker. Hey, bottom line is it's over. Yeah, you can only play it once. He or she can only play it once. Oops, let me make sure I've got all my notes here. Okay, moving on. Here's another one, the throw-in. This is pretty simple too. Once again, I'll have some videos for you that are going to supplement this entire session so that you know what's going on with this thing. Points to remember about the throw-in, awarded to the team that did not put the ball over the touchline. In other words, Team A puts the ball over the touchline, Team B will be the ones responsible for the throw-in. Taken from behind the touchline, a foot or both feet can be on the touchline when the ball is released in play, but if they go into the field of play beyond the touchline itself, we award the ball to the other team. It must be delivered into play with both hands from behind and above the head. Thrower must face the field. Okay, ball's in play once it's left the hands of the thrower, and any part of the ball breaks the plane of that touchline. That's the exceptional part to that. Okay, opponents must stand at least 2 yards from the point of throw-in and must not interfere or impede that throw-in at all. If so, we've got a yellow card situation because we could consider that as a unsporting behavior classified as a delay of game. If the ball does not break the plane of the touchline on a throw-in, then it is awarded to the other team. Okay, that makes this sport just this set of rules just a little bit different. Some venues or some agencies allow the team to retake the throw, not in high school, and now not in college either. Here's another one, the goal kick. Points to remember, this is going to be awarded to the defensive team if the attacking team puts the ball over the goal line, okay, and it does not go between the uprights, under the crossbar, or over the goal line to count as a goal, okay. If the ball is placed anywhere on the goal line area, it must be stationary prior to the kick, and once placed, the ball is not moved until it is put into play. Now, here's the key to this thing. I want to make sure that we're all on the same sheet with this guy right here. It's important, and I'm going to go ahead and do this because I want to make sure that you see it and understand it. Here it is right here. The opposing players, okay, must be outside the penalty area. The ball is not in play until it has left the penalty area. Remember that? We talked about that just a few moments ago with regards to the free kicks. A goal kick can be taken anywhere by any member of the defensive team, and it must clear the penalty area before it is deemed in play. A goal may be scored from a goal kick. Have I seen it happen? Seen it almost happen. Never seen it scored. Original kicker may not put the ball into play and then touch it a second time. If so, we're calling that a double touch. Okay, and you remember what that is. That's your IDK awarded to the other team from the spot of the foul. Wow. Yep. These are things that you're going to have to know. Okay. And that's goal kick. Very simple. You can't even really put stuff in, internet browsers to say, I need examples of, and come up with it. It's all kind of hodgepodge. Here's Rule 17. The last one, corner kick. The awarding is awarded to the attacking team when, in fact, the ball has been last touched by the defensive team and it goes over the goal line, either in the air or on the ground. Doesn't matter. So it's awarded to the attacking team. They put the ball in the corner arc. Remember that, a corner arc. We've talked about that. Refer to the pictures in the rule book. And once again, they can put it anywhere in the arc or on the lines around that. They cannot touch the flag to take this kick. It stays there. It is not to be touched or manipulated in any way, shape, form, or fashion, or altered in any kind of way prior to taking that kick. the ball is in play when it kicks and moves, and the goal may be scored directly from a corner kick. Extremely important, okay? How about that? So, watch this. We're done. Isn't that amazing? That's all 17 rules. And I decided to count, or to go over 13 through 17 all in one shot, okay? So, I didn't mean to do that, but let me go ahead and zap this thing. I want to show you now a couple of videos that deal with this. Here's a goal kick in soccer. Okay, let's take a look at this.
Wilmington Hammerheads, and I'm going to tell you what a goal kick is in soccer. The materials that you need for taking a goal kick are a soccer ball,
Makes some sense.
a goalkeeper,
Probably.
a 6-yard box, a regular soccer game, and 2 teams.
I think that's appropriate, don't you?
A goal kick in soccer is just one stoppage of play that's awarded to one team. A goal kick is awarded to one team when the opposing team kicks the ball out over the end line.
Or
If
goal
one
line.
opposing team is attacking a goal and they take a shot and they miss wide or goes over the goal and it goes out over the end line, a goal kick is awarded. Usually in soccer, the goalkeeper is the one that takes the goal kick. The first step in taking a goal kick is that the goalkeeper will place the ball on the 6-yard box. The 6-yard box is located within the big 18-yard box. The second step is that the defenders and midfielders and forwards will push up the field to be able to win the ball around midfield. The third step is that the goalkeeper kicks the ball high and away. The goalkeeper wants to kick the ball high and away so it gets over the opposing team and it gets as far down the field as possible, hopefully to start a counterattack. And these are just some ways on how to take a goal kick.
I use this one only because it's incredibly simplistic, okay? But that's really what it amounts to, okay? And for those of you who played the game, you know exactly what this thing's about. Isn't he just the cutest thing? I want to show you a free kick. How about this? Remember the free kick? Now we're dealing with law or rule 13. Here we go. Look at this. I'm going to stop it here. I want you to see what's happening in this particular example with the referee whose back is to the ball. This is a pet peeve of mine. Do not ever turn your back on the ball. Run away backwards. After you have scanned the area, you know you've got an area that you can run in. He's got his back and he's running. He's looking at the keeper. But more importantly, what he's supposed to be doing is gauging whether or not the defender is setting him or herself up 10 yards away from the ball. How do you get used to this? Remember, I told you how to do that in Rule 1. Get you an opportunity, give yourself an opportunity to measure something off, run it forwards, run it backwards, but know what 10 yards is. If he, or in this particular case, is satisfied that this defender is 10 yards away from that ball, and I can tell you right now, just from looking at it, he's not anywhere close. He's probably at 8 yards. But anyway, this is where the wall would set up, okay? But watch what happens when the attacker, whose players are getting themselves set up for the subsequent attack, if he's unsuccessful with the goal, take a look at what this person does. The ball's in play. Defender takes off with it. He's onside. Can you believe it? But the ball has been put in play. So what have you got? You got a mess. Okay? But does that happen? Yes, it does. Absolutely. I think, if I remember correctly, I had a couple of other videos for you to watch. Bear with me. Isn't he just adorable? Bear with me for a moment. Okay, I've got several of these up. Once again, take a look in the search. This is in Bing, but you can do this in any of them, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, penalty kick videos. You're going to come up with a bunch of these. Soccer penalty kick. You know, you click on this, look at good explanations and all this. Here's a funny commercial for you to look at and get a feel for, okay?
Well,
They make
it
a
all
lot of
comes
these.
down to this penalty kick. Wait, what's this? It's the old distract the goalie trick. Oh, they've been one-upped with an icy cold Budweiser. Oh, that is tantalizing. Wide right! Those fans have done it! Beautiful brilliance!
So you can see a bunch of these things, an awful lot of them. Here's what this looks like here. Let's go ahead and bring this up. I want you to see what happens with this. Now, what I'm trying to point out to you about the penalty kick, this will be, what is that, 14, I believe it is. The ball is placed on the penalty spot here in the right there, right in the middle of the goal line of the goal, if you would, 12 yards out. This is 10 yards from here to here, okay, from the penalty spot to the top of the D. The referee has appropriately got everybody outside of the D and outside of the penalty area. In addition to that, we've identified the kicker. The keeper is on his line. Once again, he or she can move laterally along the line, but cannot come into the field of play. At an appropriate time, the referee is going to make his signal to take this penalty kick, and not until that time is the penalty kick taken. But one of the points I wanted to bring to your attention was, if you were to draw a line from that would parallel the goal line, but anyway, would cut the 18 so that no one stood in front of that. That's what you have to do. In other words, it might be, well, 12 yards, you know, it's 6 yards from that spot to here and 6 yards from this spot to there, so that in fact everybody knows not to get in front of that. It's the referee's responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen. Let's take a look though at the rest of this kick.
وجها لوجه مع الحارس هيثم جمال، كل يترقب أمير يسدد أمير، ولكن سقوط أمير على أرضية الملعب، وهنا أمير يحصل على إنذار.
Now, needless to say, what you saw there was just the worst penalty kick in the world. And of course, this guy wants to crawl in the biggest hole he can possibly get into, so that he doesn't, get zapped by his teammates and so forth, because approximately, I think it's about 94% of the penalty kicks that are taken are successful. Okay, so that's just part of it. But there are a couple of others that you just need to see how some of these are done that are kind of fun. This gentleman demonstrates a number of these things, and they're okay. Let's take a look.
So after the penalty kick is taken, there's 3 things that can happen. 1, you can either score, and then play is restarted at the middle of the field with a whistle. 2, you can miss and you can kick it out of bounds, and then play is restarted as a goal kick from the goalie. Or 3, you can hit the keeper or the goal and the ball bounces back. Now in this case, the ball is live, and now anybody has permission to come in, take the ball, and score or defend.
So let's talk about that for just a moment. He's almost accurate. He indicated, now that the ball is placed, once the ball is kicked and it goes to the keeper, and the keeper is successful in defending the goal and punches the ball out, can the ball go back to the original kicker and put the ball back into play? The answer is yes, he can. Okay, and you'll find that in your book. You do need to be aware of that. However, if the ball is kicked and it goes off the crossbar, comes back to the original kicker, can he or she touch the ball again before it is played by another player or a teammate? No, he or she cannot. In order to do that, or if in fact that happens, we have an indirect free kick foul. Okay, so once again, if the original kicker puts it off the crossbar, it comes back to the original kicker and they touch it again, we have a double touch. And you remember that an indirect free kick is awarded from the spot where he touched it, he or she touched it, to, in this particular case, the defending team. Let's listen further.
So all the players outside the box, they rush in and they try to get the ball on deflection. And then another player can come in and kick it. I can come in and get it. It's a free-for-all.
It is, and you have to be very aware of what's going on when, in fact, those kinds of situations happen. You got to be on your A game for that, to be very, very honest with you. Okay? I've got a couple of others. Bear with me for a second. Here's a corner kick video, and needless to say, I mean, you're going to be able to find a ton of these things. All you've got to do is go in and identify in your browser search engine, corner kick videos, penalty kick videos. You're going to find some fascinating examples. This happens to be one of them that I like a great deal. Watch this one. I hate to do this to you, but take a look at what's going on here. The referee is in the 18, probably 3-4 yards in, okay, 3 yards in anyway. He's watching the activities of everything that's going on here. But something else in the video, in the picture, that I need to make sure that you get a chance to see, if you would. The assistant referee is on the goal line as far back as he or she can get, looking down the goal line, and will be the goal judge if in fact the ball gets close to coming into the net. Okay? We have two people of the officiating crew, 1, 2, to deal with, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 people out of 22 that are in this small area. And this is where a great deal can happen. That's why you have all the exceptions to the exceptions with regards to how this rule is established and dealt with and presented to you as the new referee. You'll need some experience with this. A couple of pieces that I would recommend instantly here would be the referee does not need to be in the 18. If you become involved in the 18 where the ball would come off of you and deflect to an attacking player who then puts it back in the net, you can be held responsible, even though I know you're part of the field, for creating a problem. Try not to do that. Let's take a look at the rest of this. Watch this. It's kind of fun too. And by the way, once the goal is scored, and I believe this is the video, watch what the assistant referee does. They don't show it, regretfully, but yeah, there he is. The assistant referee runs up the field with his flag towards the ground. That's exactly what he's supposed to be doing. We'll watch this one. And by the way, can these kids do this? Absolutely they can. And it's kind of fun to watch too. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not the one I was hoping it would be. I've seen this from a different angle. But anyway, Beckham obviously curves it and goes right into the net, which is an awful lot of fun. You're going to be able to see an awful lot of these things. One more for you that I want to show you, and then I'm going to provide for you another set of videos, if you would, some things that I want you to consider, for each for several. Okay, let's cover the throw-in. We'll use this gentleman's video to provide us with the kind of example I need.
My name is Tim Boucher, soccer coach at LaSalle Academy for Expert Village. One thing that we want to do when the ball is kicked out of bounds, your opponent kicks the ball out of bounds, you want to do a throw-in. Now the key to a throw-in is you want to make sure you have your hands this way on the ball, bring the ball over your head, and bring the ball this way over your head. You can't come out through the side or the other side, and definitely no baseball passes to throw the ball in. Feet planted, bringing the ball in, up over your head. Let's watch Luis demonstrate this.
Pretty simple, huh?
Doing a nice simple throw-in right at the out-of-bounds line.
But make sure you know the exceptions.
Now, a second way that you can make this throw is by running up. The key to this is making sure that you keep both feet on the ground and you drag your back foot and make sure you do not go over the sideline. Watch him demonstrate. Notice how he drags his back foot, keeping both feet down. That can also give you a little bit more power.
Not much to it, right? Another video that can point to another piece of the throw-in that you may not consider, however you may have heard about, and that would be the flip throw-in. Let's take a look at and watch this young lady as she performs this, in some cases, very acrobatic situation, but it can propel the ball a long, long way. The point I'd like to make there, quite honestly, is I'm not a fan of the flip throw-in. I'm not a fan of it at all, to be very honest with you. And my concern, quite honestly, is for the safety of the player. Does it also meet all of the criteria for a throw-in? In other words, does the ball come from behind the head as opposed to just being right here? Yeah. Anyway, that's something for you to judge. I'm not a real excited person about the throw-ins. Well, that pretty well does it. We've got the goal kick. We've covered that. The corner kick. We've talked about the penalty kick, the throw-in, free kicks in general. All of those are there for your review in the book. You can see the quiz on that. That'll be a one-shot deal. Hey, you know, we're getting to the end of this thing, so you know, be looking for some additional videos to help you out with your understanding of the rules of high school soccer. Okay? Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.